Hello and welcome. My name is Catherine Toomey and my business is Catherine Toomey Massage. And I'd just like to thank you very much for coming to my podcast, Voices of Vision, Stories of Soul. This is episode 6 that I have. And today we're with Betty, and we'd like to thank Betty very much for coming and speaking with me. So Betty's a confidence coach. She talks about going from doubt to clarity. And I am influenced by Betty because she's just got the most incredible energy, and she just kind of pops. She's also in Sydney, so obviously I think that's awesome. And we met through the Joseph McClendon, the third A Factor, which I went to in Melbourne, and then ended up being gifted to go to Sydney and be part of a 3-day workshop. And we've come a long way from there, I feel. So Betty, thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to start by a bit of a proposition. So you're in your 30s or 40s, you've built a career, lived fully, and somewhere along the way, your dream to be a mum was put on hold. And you may be left wondering, what can you do? Or how can you do this on your own? So Betty's here to give us some beautiful answers to all the questions that we might have. So Betty, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I feel honored that you asked me here to share my story, and hopefully it inspires other women who've also prioritized their career and gone, oops, oh my God, I still want that baby and I'm single, or, because I'm quite fussy with, who I choose to bring in my life. I didn't want to just go for second best. So I'm here to help inspire those and show them the way, because it is a beautiful experience. As you know, you've got a daughter. If that is something that you want to do, there is a way to do it, and it's so empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a 10-year gap between children, and my first 2 children grew up with their grandparents alongside. So it's been a completely different experience for me to have a young one like your son. So what first awakened your inner yes to solo motherhood?
Um, Well, I always knew I wanted to be a mum. I come from a family of, I have 7 other siblings, so a family of 10, and we always had an extended family around us with Fijian background. We always had cousins in and out of our house as they were migrating to Fiji, and my mum helped them. Um, and as I was getting into my mid-30s, I was working in the film industry still, working a lot overseas on movies, and it was really hard for me to get a relationship that really most of the people I met were also transient like me. So when I was 36, I was in a relationship. I knew he wasn't Mr. Right. So I froze my eggs as a backup plan. Excuse me. I froze my eggs as a backup plan, thinking, okay, if it feels like I already know that I'm going to be having a baby at a later life, it's not going to be with him, but it's going to be with someone else. But if not, I've got a backup. And I thought freezing my eggs was me being the backup, because my film career was thriving. I was getting lots of overseas big US films, and I was loving it, and I felt so young. And that's what the tricky thing is, when women are thriving and they love what they're doing, or you just forget you're in the hustle, but you love it. You forget that, oh, I feel so energetic, even though I was kind of burnt out in between films, but I was passionate about it.
Yeah.
So when I was 36, 35-ish, I knew that, okay, I've got to have a backup plan. So that's when it wasn't an initial yes, because I thought I'd still meet the one. But guy, I just want to say now that don't wait, just do it. Like, if it takes time to actually get to know someone, to know if they're the one. And I just feel like if I rushed into it and I had the baby with the one that wasn't the one, I've got to deal with all that other stuff
Yeah.
of where's the baby going to live. And he was from
Yeah.
overseas, and it was like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was my yes moment around 34, 35, that I knew that this technology was around. And excuse me. So it was around that point. Um, but the real yes was when I came back from another film overseas. I was 33, 37, nearly 38. And a friend of mine said to me, and she was a solo mum by choice. She had to have a baby because she had a certain medical issue, and the doctor said to her, you need to have a baby sooner rather than later if you want a baby. So that's how she did it. And so she said to me, she goes, how old are you again? And I went, oh, I'm 37. And she's like, I keep thinking you're 25, but you're not.
Mm.
And I was like, so she said, if you want to have a child by 40, this is your timeline. And I went, oh my God,
Yeah.
like there's actually not much time left.
Yeah.
So she was the one that put it in place and said, and went, oh my gosh, okay, so by October, of end of next year, October, if I don't meet the right one, I'll just do it. Okay. But really, come on, that's not much time, a year to find someone and then get to know them and all of those things.
Yeah.
So as a backup plan, I actually texted one of my best friends. He always said we'd have a baby together if we both were, in our 30s and we didn't have a baby because we both wanted babies, that we'd have it together. I was platonic. And I texted him and I said, hey, so but by October, I'm gonna do the IVF thing. Are you in? And he said, yeah, but what are you waiting for? Why don't you just do it now? And I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yes. And so then I started going down the rabbit hole, finding out what to do. And lucky that I did because there's a whole process. And because he was working overseas in between films, it took a while and I didn't realize you had to see a counselor as part of the law and all of those things. And in the end, I didn't end up using him. I decided that I wanted to do it with an unknown donor. So, the lesson there was just don't wait, just go get your medical checks, go see the doctor, go see how your body is doing, because the process could be longer than you think.
Yeah.
A woman that I helped, and she said, oh, I'm going to wait. She was quite young, early 30s. She said, I'm just going to wait a little bit until I find the one, I'll wait a couple of years and I'll try. And I said, just go see a doctor, get a body check. And she found polyps on her ovaries. So it took about at least a year and a half to clear that.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I think I've rambled on a little bit, but yeah,
No,
that
no,
was
no.
my yes around 38 years old when I kind of went, okay, I've got to do this. I've actually got to take a step forward.
So, what I would say is that as somebody that's had the experience, you are the perfect person to guide others in this direction because you've told us, how have you moved through fear and doubt that surrounds this sort of a life-changing decision. And the truth is you need somebody to talk to that will listen, that won't judge, that will give you information that includes all the sort of financials and all the emotional balancing and all that. It's a lot, but it's not a lot if you're always able to provide that confidence from the outside in the form of coaching and being able to give the experience that you've had in your time as being a solo mum and going through this journey. And it is like a 1%, 1 out of 100, perhaps. I don't know the statistics, but it is something that not everybody's going through. And so it is a really beautiful offering that you're making possible for people that are interested in this journey to actually come along and not feel alone. And that's a really important thing. Your website speaks about clarity, knowledge, alignment. What has been the biggest teacher on your journey?
To start off with, it's finding the confidence within yourself first, loving yourself. I had a lot of that confidence in myself, really remembering the hard things that you have done. But to be honest, when I first started this journey, I was so confident in my inner circle with my family, the few people that I shared it with, but I didn't like to tell other people. I wasn't confident outside. And as a person, like in my job as on a film set, I'm the one that commands everyone, tells everyone what to do, what time lunch is, and I'm confident, but I still wasn't proud of my decision to be a solo mom. Like I would avoid those conversations when someone would say, "Oh, so what does your husband do?" And I'd be like, oh, here we go, the conversation. But the thing is, it was all in my head, thinking, oh, are they going to think I'm lonely? Are they going to think I'm single and desperate? It was all in my head because everyone else's reaction was, wow, good on you, like that. But
Yeah.
I guess it was that feeling of being seen, going,
Do,
oh, I don't want to. So
do
I
you
wasn't
think
proud of it. But
do you
yeah,
think
yeah.
there's a lot of judgment, but actually once you open your mouth and actually start speaking, that's when you realize that the biggest fear you have is maybe how hard it has been. Because I can't imagine that it's an easy journey. But at the same time, if you don't do it, and I learned this by reading through your website actually, if you don't do it and it is something you want to do, then that's also your regret and you miss out really, because you, even though it's a hard journey, everything that you really want in life
Every
can also
even
be.
parenting in couples, it's a hard
That's
journey
right.
because they've got to deal, I mean, with other issues and then sharing between each other and different values. And so everyone's heart is different. And what I would love to change is the perspective that people have on solo parenting because it's actually amazing. And the thing is, the perspective I was going, oh, it's so hard doing it on your own. But I feel if we change that perspective, see, the thing is, solo women, we just do it. We don't go, oh, he didn't change the nappy. Oh, because we just do it. It's just something you accept. And I feel like when you accept it, you don't go, oh, I'm alone. Oh, this, you just do it. And it's funny when I was in my mother's group, being the only single one there, the complaints I would have on the WhatsApp group to like, oh, this happened in the line and he did a big poo and I'm just like, dude, like just in my head, I'm like, just deal with it. Like you have no, because they have someone to deal with it. And it makes you kind of more resilient. And you just kind of get on with the game, which is amazing. Though on the other end, we become so masculine that we don't accept help and we don't soften. So that's another a thing that you discover later on to how to soften and accept for help. And in the first part of my course,
Yeah.
it's
Tell us
like
about that.
yes, so we have a magnetic DNA framework. That's the name of my company because obviously when we are born magnetic. We are children. We are defiant. We ask for what we want. We want an ice cream. We don't hold back because we are at the top of our game. We are like fully expressive unapologetically. Okay. So we're bobbing on the top of the ocean, as Abraham Hicks says. And then once life happens, we're bobbing on top of the ocean. This is the cork. Okay. And then fears come, conditioning from our parents, and then we go below the surface, societal things saying you're in this is how you should be. And we lose our magnificence. So in my first part of the course, we just remember how magnificent we are. We write down evidence because our brain always wants to gather evidence
Yeah.
that we've done hard things that we've done. And it's such a simple exercise, just writing down, oh, I've done this. I had a uni degree. I had a difficult conversation with my mother. All of these things we forget because as we grow up, we start getting compared. Well, first of all, we're used to getting applause when we start walking, and then we're used to validation and approval. And then we go to school, we get compared with grades from a curriculum that might not even suit everybody, but we're starting to get compared with other people.
Yeah.
So we forget. So when we've done great things, we're like, oh, but she's got that and I've got this. It's like, we forget that we measure the success criteria from ourselves.
Yeah.
It's when we look for a possibility, we look at that in others, but our success should be from ourselves. So in that, it's like a grounding, like a tree. A tree that has massive growth always has to deep root. So in the first part of my course, it's like, like, as we've got to fix this and this because I personally feel the practical side and the donor reflection sheet and choosing the treatment, I feel that that's the easy part.
Yeah.
Okay. Part here for us to keep going is we've got to help our psychology and our intuition and feel grounded and get excited about, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby. Like,
Yeah.
wow. And well, like, first of all, it's basically your magnificence, falling in love with yourself before then we move over. Then we do the really difficult part,
So
which is DNA.
I
Yeah.
want to ask you just before you go into that. Firstly, I do want to say congratulations on your website. I think it's amazing. Many women feel pressure to wait until the right time. So I just imagine if you're waiting for the right time, the right partner. Talk to me about that narrative that people would perhaps have when they're making this decision.
Well, with anything, business, life, there is no right time. The right time is actually when you just decide and move forward, even if it's just going to see the doctor to say, oh, okay, can I just have a blood test or check out my body? Because you just never know. You might find other things that have, popped up. So, I mean, as you know, with timing, as soon as you have a thought or something, a desire, just act on it because then it'll just move you forward. And you know what? You may go forward. I've spoken to some women that have gone forward and they realize, oh my God, I thought I wanted a child, but it's because my family
Right.
tells me I want a child. But if you don't do the work, and she's got freedom because in knowing that, oh my God, I was just getting pressure from society, from my family. But if she didn't start discovering this early on to realize, oh, I don't actually want a child. It was just my parents. I love just being like this, and
Yeah.
you know, in a couple, and she was, so it once you just take the step, and then of course you've got the body clock, yes.
Yeah.
So just move forward, even if it's just a checkup with the doctor. But also, once you start, making one little move like a phone call, it's just easier and easier, easier. Every little step that you take moves you forward. And then, it brings more freedom because at least you will come to the end of your life and go, hey, at least I tried. At
Yeah.
least I tried. And the number of women, I can't tell you, Catherine, like older women that are in their 60s or late 50s that have said to me, like if I'm just randomly at a park and they're like, oh, and you have a conversation and they're like, oh, you know what? I wish I did that. Like, I wish I even tried because I regret it and la 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 la. And then I'd have a conversation with them like, is there another way you can mother in a way?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'm a really good auntie, but actually, yeah, I could be more involved in that because, instead they feel a bit triggered by hanging out with their. And I said, no, I can actually be more involved and embrace my mothering through that, or birthing a business or birthing a foundation of something. So just move forward because there is freedom in the trying.
How
Okay. There's freedom in the trying.
how has solo motherhood expanded your sense of identity, being a woman and being creative and the soul spiritual path? So just tell us about how maybe they're different.
Yes, so solo motherhood expanded me in so many ways. First of all, in the way of, I don't know if you experience this, but in motherhood, you get triggered. You remember, things from your childhood and you go, oh my gosh, this is how I want to do something different. But then the love that comes out of you for this human that you're just like, oh my gosh. And everything is on the line. You're just like, why am I going to work and being burnt out? Why am I like I've invested so much money and love and time into this being and I'm just going to work and I don't see him and I'm passing him in between. So it's expanded me in that sense of that love, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful, the love, the
Beautiful.
joy.
Yeah.
And it expanded me to actually experiment, step into fear and doubt and like all of that into starting an online business and experimenting with all different ways of earning income so I could be with him
Yeah.
more. And then spiritually, as you probably know, and anyone that started a business, it really tests you. It pushes your inner. This is where I actually started my inner work journey because having to peer online, excuse me, I just really need to get a tissue. Um, yeah, starting my online journey as a business owner in network marketing, I had to be online. And so all of those fears came up of what are they going to think and all the judgment and all of in my head
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
all in my head. But I had to do all that inner work
Yeah.
and come through so much lighter. And that's how being online, I've become actually more empowered and proud of my solo mom by choice journey and going, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm embracing it now. And now I just can't
What
keep it quiet.
what do you think helps you feel grounded, or if I could say, what helps you trust yourself in during those tender moments of motherhood? What sort of brings it on in?
Truthfully, probably the community that you build around you. So I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful family who were on board from the beginning. Even my mother, even though because she was a very religious, she was actually the first Fijian woman to be ordained in Australia for the under Uniting Church of Australia. So I was like a bit nervous about what she was going to say, but she was on board too. So I was very fortunate to have that. But I had like where I live in the inner Western Sydney,
Beautiful, by the way. That's
I
beautiful.
I had like I mean as a solo mom, I feel like you reach out more to people. But though I am very social, I'd go to the pool, go to the crèche. Like some of my friends I have are just people I've met we've put our babies in the crèche and we're
Yeah,
training at the gym.
for sure.
So it was that community and knowing there's people around. And of course, there's lonely times, but every mother has that.
Yeah,
Every mother has the lonely times going, oh, they get to do this and I'm here with my baby. But that doesn't last very long. Okay. There will be times where you're tired and you're like, oh, everyone else is going out and I'm here,
yeah,
and that's just normal. That's just something that
yeah,
you go, this is temporary.
yeah. And
So your question was
there's
what
so many,
grounded me?
yeah, there's so many different forms of parenting as well. Like not only these days, but I feel like we're all brought up into valuing that there are different forms of parenting or different types of parents. And I just think that's a really, really important thing to factor in because there's so many children that are like within divorced families or separated families or families that lose parents through tragedy and sickness and things like that. So we're actually in a position where there is so many different forms. And I really appreciate that. And so when I meant tender moments, I guess I sort of meant you and your son and how that comes about.
Oh, how do I ground into that?
Yes, I mean, I guess he's going. I feel like being a single parent myself, I understand how important I am and how important receiving that love is.
Yeah, I really enjoy the time we had. Even like I love the when he was younger. I mean, I love now. I think now it's my favorite, but I loved those times when we were younger, and quite often I didn't even want to meet up with people. I just wanted to hang out with him, push him in the stroller, sit there, sit at the park, and I was so happy with just us two most of the time. There were times when I'd hear that everyone's going everywhere, that of course I'd have that, but a lot of the times I just loved, the thing is I'm such a foodie. I love prepping his food and we'd go to the park and sit down and have a picnic and all of those things. And
You're having a
excuse me.
you're looking to have a second child, aren't you?
I did. I actually did attempt to have like to fertilize some eggs, and it was quite. I went through that process a couple of months ago, and the egg didn't fertilize, and the four frozen ones didn't thaw. And I'm so glad that I did that. They didn't thaw, and I said to myself, well, the doctor said to me, she goes, "Do you want me to thaw all of the rest of the eggs?" And I said, "Can I have a minute?" And when she walked away, I was like, actually, you know what? I'm only going to try once. Like, I don't want to try again. And I said, she came back and I said, thaw all the frozen eggs and we'll get whatever I get. And they didn't eventuate. And yeah, it was a little bit heartbreaking, but I didn't know. Uh, it's funny. It was a bit heartbreaking, but not so bad because I'd kind of accepted that as long as I try, these eggs have been frozen for 7 years. And it was always that, like, should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I? Because my life is so full and free now, and I love it.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad. And that's where the freedom is. Now it's like, I know I've tried.
yeah,
Maybe later down the line I might adopt,
yeah.
but
You're
I'm
still
happy.
young, actually, Betty. You're still really young. Take it from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
48 in about 2 weeks.
Okay, well, yeah,
Still, I feel young. That's all that matters.
yeah, yeah.
And then I realize I'm birthing other babies. Like I'm birthing this to help other women as well feel confident doing this.
Talk to me about your next steps. You clearly love being a mum. Tell us about the how we can contact you. Any final message, and thank you so very much for sharing a really deeply personal experience that you've had.
Thank you so much. So, yes, so you can find me on magnetic DNA. Okay, or you just actually the best place to find me is just at Betty.Fotofili on Instagram, or you can find me on my YouTube channel, Magnetic Mama. And I will be sharing a little bit more of what my course outlines in YouTube. So we started with the birthing part, and I'll quickly just go through. So the magnetic and then DNA, obviously it means our DNA, we are magnetic, but DNA actually stands for decode, declutter. So that's when we do the difficult part where no one wants to do, but we become aware of our fears. We we bring them from under the carpet, okay, and then you let them go because there are a lot of fears, of course, okay, and there's grounding exercises to get you through that. And then the N and A is nourish, so nourish with practical knowledge, all of the treatments, what it is, how, like a donor reflection sheet, which is great to have before you even step in. So you're not going to the doctor and they're telling you all of these things. At least you know it's all in one place. And hopefully you do the nourish and aligned action at the same time. Okay. When you get the step checklist, just do it. Okay. So that's the magnetic DNA framework. And so yeah, so you're welcome. I will be sending out like a freebie of a checklist that you can use, and that's coming out soon, and then that will be in my school community, which is, have you heard of school,
Okay. I,
SKOOL,
I,
magnetic DNA, and that there'll be like a mini course in there with worksheets that you can do if you're just testing the waters before you step in and do Yes to Solar Motherhood,
what I really
the
want to
whole
thank you
course.
for, Betty, is your full on energy and excitement about this. I really have around me that kind of energy. I feel like I have your kind of energy, but I need to get up and run around. And when I see you doing those Instagram posts with your son and you're running around and you're doing all the things, and you are literally, because of your amazing background in film and TV work, you can really tell that you're bringing that into the work that you're now sharing, which is
Oh,
part of your experience, which is part of your life. And it's so infectious. I really want to tell you, it's really infectious. And if anybody's
oh, thank
interested
you.
in, taking up a journey of solo parenting, of just being at that stage of life, whether you're in your 30s or whether you're in your 40s, whether you're basically just feeling like that's your path and you don't know if you're going to find a soulmate, or in fact you just might be at a stage in life where you've just decided that it's something that you can do alone, and there's so much support out there and you're really part of that support. Thank you very much for
Yeah. I just wanted to say one other thing. The thing is, what I love about this journey is when you really embrace solo motherhood or solo parenting, you become to love yourself, you empower it. So when you do welcome love, if you want love, you're accepting someone that's on your level, that you've created your worthiness. And that's what we do in Yes to Solo Motherhood. So when you are ready to welcome that person in, you are in a more empowered place and attracting the right person.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
And you've set your boundaries. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll put all your links under the show notes here, and thank you so very much for being here with us. Thank you.
Okay, see you.
Bye.
Bye.
All the best. Bye.